What if getting the rights to sell one video game required outrunning the KGB, surviving corporate betrayal, and mortgaging your entire house on a hunch? That's the true story behind Tetris. Proof that the simplest, most addictive idea in gaming history almost never made it out of the Soviet Union at all. Buried under layers of Cold War politics and corporate greed nobody involved fully saw coming. A chance encounter. At a 1988 Las Vegas Gaming Expo, entrepreneur Henk Rogers struggles to generate interest in his own game, watching potential customers and even his own hired staff wander off to try other booths instead. Curious, he tries a strange little game called Tetris himself, and within minutes, he's completely hooked. Meeting with his bank manager, Eddie, who'd previously funded his unsuccessful earlier game, Henk struggles to explain just how addictive and compelling this new title is, despite having played it for only a few minutes. He wants another loan, this time to license Tetris specifically for the Japanese market, across PC, console, and arcade formats. Eddie is understandably skeptical given Henk's previous failure, but Henk lays out the game's origin story to make his case. Created 4 years earlier in 1984 by a Soviet programmer named Alexey Pajitnov, originally coded almost as a passing idea on an old office computer, then refined with friends into the addictive falling block game now spreading informally throughout the Soviet Union, all distributed for free since the region had no real commercial game industry at the time. The license race begins. Meanwhile, a British businessman named Robert Stein, always hunting for cheap licensing deals to resell, discovers Tetris and negotiates a license through the Soviet Union's official technology export authority, Alorg, for a mere $10,000. Stein then partners with powerful media mogul Robert Maxwell and his son Kevin, who runs Maxwell's software division, Mirrorsoft, to help distribute the game internationally. Around the same time, Henk pitches Tetris directly to Nintendo, meeting with company president Hiroshi Yamauchi, who's impressed enough to offer a flat $500,000 for the rights. Henk turns him down, instead proposing his own company handle publishing while partnering with Nintendo on distribution. A far riskier but potentially more lucrative arrangement. To fund the ambitious plan, which includes producing millions of consoles and arcade units, Henk secures a $3 million loan from Eddie, but only by agreeing to steep interest and mortgaging his own home, a decision his wife Akemi, also the company's finance director, reluctantly supports despite her concerns. Complications multiply. Back in Moscow, a man named Valentin, claiming to represent the KGB, warns Alexei that Soviet authorities want to suppress Tetris internally, worried about lost worker productivity from employees playing it obsessively on the clock. Meanwhile, Kevin informs Henk that his license actually only covers PC and console formats in Japan, since Sega already holds arcade rights there. Determined to secure handheld rights as well, especially after seeing Nintendo's unreleased Game Boy device, Henk becomes convinced Tetris could be the perfect showcase title to make the new handheld console a massive success. Complicating matters further, Kevin begins separately negotiating with Atari to secure competing handheld rights. Realizing he needs to negotiate directly with the Soviets to avoid losing out entirely, Henk travels to Moscow despite the ongoing tensions of the Cold War, where America and the Soviet Union still view each other with deep suspicion. There, he's assigned a translator named Sasha and meets with Alorg official Nikolai Belaikov, who initially claims no formal handheld or console licenses have ever actually been issued for Tetris at all. Only the original PC rights Stein originally purchased. Racing against rivals. Returning the next day, Henk finds Stein and Kevin also present, all vying for the same expanded rights. During this visit, Henk befriends Alexei directly, sharing dinner at his home and bonding over their mutual passion for game design, while Alexei shows him the very first version of Tetris exactly as it was originally coded. That same night, Henk is confronted and threatened by KGB agents, forcing him to leave the country immediately, while back in Tokyo, Soviet officials pressure Akemi to recall her husband, warning of serious consequences if he continues pursuing the deal. Returning to his ransacked hotel room, Henk learns from Sasha that KGB surveillance considers his pursuit of Soviet intellectual property a potential embarrassment to national reputation. Despite clear personal interest between them, Henk keeps things professional, mindful of his marriage. Back home, his young daughter Maya reminds him about her upcoming musical recital, adding personal stakes to his increasingly complicated business trip. A secret offer. Returning to Moscow with an updated contract, Henk watches as Stein signs an agreement securing arcade rights, while console and handheld rights remain unresolved. Nikolai privately pulls Henk aside, revealing he genuinely believes Henk is the most trustworthy of everyone vying for the license, and gives him a week to formally counter Kevin's competing handheld offer before the Soviets decide. However, Alexey later warns Henk that Sasha is secretly a KGB operative herself, and that Nikolai's attempt to help Henk has already been discovered, resulting in Nikolai being interrogated and pressured internally. Back in Tokyo, Henk receives a fax from Nikolai claiming the Tetris deal is dead, accompanied by a compromising photo of Henk and Sasha together, clearly intended as blackmail material orchestrated by Valentin to sabotage the deal. Simultaneously, Nintendo informs Henk they may be forced to abandon the partnership entirely, since Robert and Kevin Maxwell have separately reached out offering to work with Nintendo directly instead, threatening to leave Henk legally and financially exposed. A second chance. Unbeknownst to Henk, Nikolai, despite being punished internally, arranges for Alexey to secretly smuggle a real update to Henk via a distraction he creates at the office, confirming Microsoft never actually secured the rights they claimed. With this new information, Henk rushes back to Nintendo's American offices, and together they prepare a dramatically improved offer. While back in Moscow, Alexey is formally expelled from his position under suspicion of disloyalty, and Valentin escalates his threats against Alexey's own family to keep him compliant. Returning to Moscow with Nintendo executives and Sasha now working openly alongside him, Henk presents a $5 million offer, including full marketing responsibility and a modest royalty per unit sold. Nikolai is inclined to accept, but Sasha raises formal objections about properly protecting Soviet interests, delaying the final decision. Meanwhile, Valentin continues privately extorting Robert Maxwell for personal payoffs tied to the deal. The final showdown. Robert and Kevin Maxwell attempt to secure Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev's direct support for their bid, but are dismissed as opportunistic outsiders. Despite Microsoft's mounting financial troubles and an offer that can't realistically compete with Nintendo's, Robert continues pressuring Nikolai to accept his terms anyway. Ultimately, Nikolai rejects Maxwell's offer and formally signs the deal with Henk and Nintendo instead. Shortly after, Valentin and Sasha corner Robert, exposing both his company's dire financial state and his inability to actually deliver on his promised payment. While Kevin, devastated by his father's reckless, self-serving decisions throughout the ordeal, walks away entirely disillusioned. Desperate, Valentin still tries extracting a cut of future Tetris profits by threatening to expose everything, then dispatches KGB agents to intercept Henk's group before they can leave the country. Alexey manages to help the group evade pursuit, eventually reaching the airport, where Henk promises to make sure Alexey shares in the game's future success. Meanwhile, Sasha reports Valentin's corruption directly to Gorbachev's office, resulting in Valentin's arrest just as he closes in on the group. Coming home, Henk returns safely to Tokyo, arranging a heartfelt makeshift stage at home so he can finally watch his daughter Maya perform the recital he'd missed while overseas, presenting his wife Akemi with a $5 million check from Nintendo as confirmation the gamble paid off. That Christmas in 1989, Tetris officially launches bundled with the Game Boy, becoming an instant phenomenon and eventually generating well over $110 million in sales, cementing its status as one of the most successful games ever released. True to his promise, Henk brings Alexey to Japan to formally join the company's success. Robert Stein continues working in game licensing but never fully recovers from losing Tetris. Robert Maxwell's empire ultimately collapses after revelations he stole hundreds of millions from his company's pension funds, leaving him buried in billions of dollars of debt before his mysterious death, after which Kevin is arrested for his own role in the fraud. Decades later, in 2014, Henk appoints his daughter Maya as CEO of the Tetris company, which by then has sold over 500 million copies worldwide. What it all means. At its core, this isn't really a story about a simple falling block puzzle game. It's about how a genuinely great, honest idea can survive corporate greed, political corruption, and outright espionage if the right people refuse to give up on it. Henk's willingness to risk everything on a game he believed in, paired with the trust he built with the very people trying to stop him, is ultimately what made Tetris one of the most enduring games ever made, outlasting every rival who tried to take it from him along the way. So that's Tetris. What did you think about how it all came together? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more breakdowns like this one.